Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Bibi, Babatunde-Ikotun. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a faith and lifestyle content creator living in Ontario, Canada. And by the topic of today, I'll just be doing a mini chit chat of how I got into my current career as a fundraiser. So one thing I've realized that I don't know, sorry, that's just my vent that came on. I don't know a lot of Nigerian or black fundraisers, and I actually want to have more people doing fundraising, which is why I'm talking about my career today on this platform. So who is a fundraiser? A fundraiser is pretty much someone that raises funds for the benefit of charitable organizations, and I've been a fundraiser for the past 7 years now. And I guess quick story time, how did I become a fundraiser? When I was getting my master's done about 8 years ago, I enrolled in grad school at the University of Denver for a master's program in international development, and one of the requirements to graduate with a master's degree in international development was to take stats 1, 2 and 3. That was going to be a problem because math has never really been my strong suit. So I took stats 1. I remember I studied all night with my friends. I tried and I didn't pass, and that was just an opportunity for me to just rethink my whole career trajectory. So I met to my course advisor, and she was like, and I was like, what can I do? I don't want to fail my master's program, like, no. And she was like, oh, you know, you can always change your course to a course that doesn't require stats. You seem bright, like I was a straight A student, you seem really bright, and maybe just maths is not for you. And I was like, you know what, tell me more. And she was like, these are the many programs within our school, within our college, that you can switch to and still get a master's degree in due time. I was like, okay, say no more. So I decided to switch my degree to international studies, and there was this course that was taken that we didn't do semester system in my school, we did quarter system. So that quarter, there was a course called non-profit management and financial planning, or financial fundraising or something. I don't remember the name of the course, but I started taking the course and I thought it was interesting. And in one of the classes, our professor was like, we should like act and ask, right? We should pick an organization or make up an organization on the spot and and practice asking our neighbor to consider donating to that organization. Of course, I'm not bad with words at all, you know, me personally. So I faced my neighbor and I was like, oh, my name is blah blah blah, I'm with XYZ charity. Told her like a story, that inspirational story, and told her how she can like get involved and would she like to make a donation of, I think it was like $50 or something. This is like way back in like 2015-ish. And she was like, yeah, that she would donate. And she was like, have I actually considered fundraising as a career? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I want to work with the UN, I want to work with international, I want to work with UNESCO, I want to work with the FAO. Like, those were my goals. What are you talking about me being a fundraiser? She's like, oh, you're really good at it. I connected to your fake non-profit and I decided to give money. Like, if this was a real conversation, I was actually moved enough to give money. She was like, you know what, look into it. And I was like, you know what, not a bad idea. And I mean, I was still taking my classes because I specialized. My major specialization in grad school was food security. So I was still taking my classes, and one of my professors mentioned, which is why people that are in teaching profession, they have to be very careful with their words, because you don't know how you can make or mar someone. But I remember one of my professors said something along the lines like, oh, you cannot get a job at the FAO or be successful in the international food security space if you're not good with stats. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, there goes my dreams. I'm not going to be working with UNESCO, I'm not going to be working with the FAO, I'm not going to be working with UN. So my dreams just went down the drain. I was like, okay, someone said I was good at fundraising and maybe I should explore that. I was like, okay, let's do this. So I saw it was time for me to apply for CPT. And I saw this really cool internship that opened up at the Children's Hospital Colorado Foundation, and it was for community fundraising intern. I was like, you know what, let me apply. I applied. I remember I actually traveled to Nigeria that Christmas for my sister's wedding. So I remember they had called and she was like, oh, you know what, just let me know when you're back in the US. And I was like, oh, I'll be back in 2 weeks. And she's like, yeah, let me know, then you can come in. But she liked me. We had a phone interview, blah blah blah. So I went in for the interview. I remember I wore my blue blazer from Primark. He had like black trimmings. I wore like a black pencil skirt with tights and short boots, heels. Like I was looking fly. My makeup was on flick. Everything was given proper. I had the interview. I spoke with them and everything, and like within a week they told me I got the job, and I was like, yay! My first internship. Like I was so excited. My first work. I mean, I was working on campus in the cafeteria then, but that wasn't like professional work. Like this one, I get to dress up, wear makeup, and act as though I'm a working class woman. I mean, I was really young and I was like 20 years old here, so I was so excited. I started going to work. I started doing some of the project, and I was like, you know what, fundraising isn't bad. I got really interested in it, and like that was like, yeah, I got the job like in January because I went to Nigeria in December, and yeah, my sister's wedding was in November, so I was in Nigeria for the whole of December because I didn't have classes anyways. So I was back to Nigeria and back to the US in January. Started my internship that same January. So I was like, okay, good. I think it was a 6-month internship, so from January to July. So as soon as I was done, I was like, okay, what will I do next? I wanted them to keep me for longer, but they were like, no, it's a 6-month internship. They feel like I've learned what I've wanted, whatever. It was such a fancy office. Like I really enjoyed going to work. It wasn't like I went to work every day. I think I went to work like twice a week. Anyways, yeah, so I applied to 2 other internships that summer. They were both unpaid internship, but they were both fundraising internship. And in one, I was able to like build my skills in like donor research and prospecting, grant writing. Like this was where I was able to flex my muscles, aside from like the course I took in school. So this was like my quote unquote baptism into the idea of being a fundraiser, and I actually quite enjoyed it. That when I finished school, the jobs I was applying to was like development, and we call it in the not-for-profit space, we call fundraising development because it's fund development, and you're not just asking people for money. There's a lot of other things that go in. Like there's a whole donor life cycle from prospecting to from prospecting to qualification to cultivation. Like it's a whole process. It's not just asking people. There's a lot that goes into raising funds. So yeah, I started applying for jobs. I was able to get my first job. You guys can go watch my other video of how I suffered before even getting that job in America on OPT. And yeah, up until this point, that's how I really got into fundraising, and I've actually quite enjoyed it. I think it's very fulfilling work. I know people joke and say, oh, but you work in a non-profit, how come you're getting paid to fundraise? I'm like, so my bachelor's degree is not enough, my master's degree is not enough. You think because I work in the charitable space I do not deserve a living wage, I do not deserve money, even though I'm like super educated and experienced and qualified? Like, make it make sense. Because something is a charity, it's a not-for-profit, we're not making profit. Like there's no board member anywhere laughing and say, oh, that charity made. No, we're not making money for anybody. Literally all the money that we make is for the benefit of the people that we serve, the community we serve. Like there's no profit sharing or anything of that nature in a typical not-for-profit space. So if you're watching this, I just said that to like give you my backstory. If you're watching this and you're interested in like getting into fundraising, there are a couple of things you can do. You can go my route. You can start with an internship, right? Actually, I would say start by volunteer with a local non-profit. So aside from my internship, I also started volunteering with a local food bank back in Denver. I believe it was called Metro Caring. I went there once a week and I worked the phones, so I was able to put that on my resume. And so yeah, I'll say start by volunteering. Like find a cause that is dear to your heart, right? It could be food security, it could be children's education, it could be poverty, it could be art. Like the charitable sector is so huge, it's so diverse. There are so many causes, there's so many things you can do in the charitable sector. So start by volunteering with an organization that you believe what they're doing resonates with you on a deeper level. And there are also international non-profits too as well. So if maybe you're not originally from Canada, you can find an organization that is working with your home country and just volunteer, right? Everybody, we all have skills. So you can volunteer as an event planner, you can volunteer. And many non-profits has a lot of events, and they're always looking for a fundraiser. You can volunteer to help out with social media. Like, there's so many opportunities. What would that do is just get your foot in the door. So now you can build relationships with the staff, you can build relationship with the volunteer engagement coordinator, the volunteer engagement manager. But yeah, and it's also good for you to have in your resume. So after volunteering, after you volunteered for a bit and you feel like, okay, this is pretty cool, I like this, you can now start networking, right, with the people that you've been volunteering with. And of course, bring your A game when you're volunteering with these organizations and with these people. Find if there are openings and like just showcase, like, okay, I can do this. Like, especially if you already established in your current field. Let's say, for example, you're established in sales and marketing. It's very easy for you to bring transferable skills from sales and marketing to fundraising. And even if it's not fundraising you want to do, you just want to move from the corporate sector to the non-for-profit sector, you can move. If you're in finance, project management, tech, whatever it is, there's always transferable skills that you can bring. The only thing I just is that if you've enjoyed corporate money and you want to move to non-profit, I hope you're ready for a pay cut, because the pay will definitely be cutting. No cap. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you at all, because that's the reality, right? But yeah, if you're specifically interested in like transitioning into fundraising, yeah, start by volunteering. There's so many opportunities to like write grants for small organizations that volunteer run, join your board. Like, there's so many opportunities to just get your foot in the door. Once your foot's in the door, then you start networking. If you find opportunities, you apply. If you don't get the job, ask for feedback. They'll tell you, oh, we felt like you're a bit weak in this aspect. Whatever feedback they give you, you can use it to keep building yourself. And yeah, I really hope that I would have more Black women fundraising friends, and men too as well, because I believe anybody, whether you're male or you're female, you can actually be successful and have a fulfilling career in fundraising. So this is not meant to be a super long video. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask in the comment. I'm more than happy to respond. But yeah, thank you so much for watching my video, and remember, God is not angry with you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.